The wind howled across the empty plains of Vixora, a cold, dead world where nothing seemed alive anymore. Rusted machines lay half-buried in the sand. The sky glowed with a dull red light from the twin suns sinking below the horizon. A lone man walked through the wasteland, his boots leaving deep prints in the dirt. His name was Ethan Cross, a human scavenger, one of the last left on this forgotten planet. His jacket was torn and his face was tired, covered in dust and scars. Every day he searched the ruins for scraps to sell. Some days he found nothing. Other days he found things that wanted to kill him. Tonight he was desperate. His oxygen filter was almost broken. His stomach ached from hunger. He needed something valuable, anything, or he wouldn't survive another night. He carried an old metal detector, a tool from the past. It beeped weakly as he swept it across the ground. Usually it picked up junk, nails, wires, or pieces of armor. But suddenly the machine gave a loud, sharp beep, 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 faster and stronger than before. Ethan froze. He stared at the small screen. The reading was high, too high. Whatever was under there wasn't just metal. He got down on his knees and started digging. The dirt was hard and dry. His hands hurt, but he kept digging. After a few minutes, his fingers hit something smooth. Glass or maybe crystal. He brushed away more dust and sand, and a faint blue light shimmered through the cracks. "What the hell?" he whispered. He dug faster now, pushing the dirt aside with his bare hands. Soon he saw the shape. A long capsule like a coffin made of glass and silver metal. It was buried deep, only the top showing now. Inside it was a girl. Ethan froze. His heart pounded. The girl looked about 16, young, fragile, with pale silver skin and hair that shimmered faintly under the light. Her eyes were closed, and strange glowing veins ran across her arms. She wasn't human. An alien, Ethan breathed out. And she's still alive? He pressed his hand against the glass. The blue light flickered like a heartbeat. The pod made a faint hissing sound. Something inside it was failing, maybe a life support system. Ethan looked around. The wasteland was silent, but he felt uneasy. He knew what the alien patrols did to humans who touched their kind. Still, he couldn't walk away. Not when someone was alive in there. He pulled out his old plasma cutter, a small hand tool used for metal work, and started cutting through the glass. Sparks flew into the air. The blue light dimmed. His heart raced as the glass cracked open with a sharp sound. Then the girl's eyes snapped open. They glowed bright white blue, and for a second, Ethan stumbled back in shock. She gasped, choking, her hands weakly clawing at the edge of the pod. Her lips moved, and in a voice that sounded soft but broken, she whispered, "Help, me." Ethan didn't think twice. He reached in and lifted her out. Her body was cold and trembling. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out. He caught her before she fell. "It's okay," he said quickly. "You're safe now. Just breathe." The girl's breathing was shallow. Her silver eyes darted around in confusion. She looked terrified, not of him, but of something else. Something out there. Ethan tore off his coat and wrapped it around her. She shivered, mumbling words in a strange alien language. He couldn't understand, but her tone was full of fear. Suddenly, a strange beeping sound came from inside the broken pod. Ethan turned. A small red light flashed rapidly on the control panel. It looked like a distress signal. "Damn it," he muttered. "They'll come." He picked her up and carried her away from the pit, stumbling through the sand. The wind grew stronger and dust whipped at his face. In the distance, faint lights flickered in the sky, alien drones scanning the desert. The girl opened her eyes again. She tried to speak, her voice weak but clear this time. "Why? Why did you save me?" Ethan looked down at her, confused. "Because you were dying," he said simply. She stared at him for a long moment, her eyes full of something between shock and sorrow. Then she whispered, "They buried me alive. My brothers did." Ethan stopped walking. He looked back toward the buried pod, now flashing red in the distance. "Your brothers?" he asked. But the girl had already fainted in his arms. The wind howled louder, as if the planet itself was warning him. He didn't know who she was or what he had just awakened. But deep down he knew one thing. This was not a normal rescue. Something about this girl was dangerous. And somewhere out there, someone wanted her dead. The night grew colder as the two moons rose high above the ruined plains. Ethan's breath fogged the air as he carried the strange alien girl through the wasteland. Every step felt heavier. The storm winds pushed against him, but he didn't stop. Her body was light, almost weightless, like she was made of something softer than flesh. Her skin glowed faintly, and faint lines of silver ran across her neck and arms, marks that shimmered and pulsed with each heartbeat. Ethan finally reached his makeshift shelter, a half-buried shipwreck he called home. It wasn't much, just a broken human dropship from the old wars, but it kept the cold out and the sand away. He pushed the metal door open with his shoulder and stepped inside. The small fire flickered weakly in the corner. He laid the girl down on a blanket, wrapping her in a rough thermal sheet. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyelids fluttered like she was trapped between sleep and nightmares. Ethan poured water from his canteen and touched it to her lips. "Come on," he said softly. "You need to drink." At first she didn't move. Then slowly she sipped. A faint color, silver and blue, returned to her cheeks. She opened her eyes again, blinking in confusion at the strange human in front of her. Her voice trembled as she spoke. You are not one of us." Ethan gave a small laugh. "No kidding. I'm human. What's your name?" The girl hesitated, staring into the fire. "Lyra," she whispered at last. "All right, Lyra," he said gently. "You're safe here," but she shook her head. "No one is safe here." "Not near me," Ethan frowned. "You were buried in that thing, and why? Who did that to you?" Her lips tightened. "My brothers," she said quietly. "They feared what I am." He stared at her, unsure if he heard right. "Your brothers buried you alive?" Lyra nodded slowly. "They said it was justice. Said I was unnatural." Ethan sat back, trying to understand. "Unnatural how?" Lyra looked up, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the firelight. "Because I can do this." She raised her trembling hand toward the fire. For a moment nothing happened. Then the flames bent toward her fingers, twisting like they were alive, and formed a perfect sphere of light that floated in her palm. The heat vanished. The air shimmered with calm. Ethan's eyes widened. "That's impossible." She let the light fade and the fire returned to normal. "It's not power," she said softly. "It's a curse. On my world, those born with the light are feared. My brothers said I would bring ruin, so they sealed me inside the ground." Ethan didn't know what to say. He had seen alien tech, alien weapons, alien cruelty, but not this. This was something ancient, something beyond science. Lyra looked at him carefully. "Why did you save me, human? You could have left me there." He rubbed his tired face. "Because I know what it's like to be left behind," he said. "I lost my people too. Maybe saving you means something." Lyra studied him silently. For a moment her expression softened, but then her body tensed. Her head jerked toward the door. Ethan followed her gaze. "What is it?" "Drones," she whispered. They found the signal. A second later a faint hum filled the air, mechanical, sharp, growing louder. Ethan ran to the viewport and saw small silver drones gliding across the sky, scanning the ground with red beams of light. "Damn it," he muttered. "They tracked the pod's beacon." Lyra struggled to stand. "They'll kill us both. I can stop them," but her knees gave out and Ethan caught her before she fell. "You're not strong enough," he said. She looked up at him with desperate eyes. "You don't understand. If they find me, my brothers will come next." Ethan grabbed his rifle, an old plasma carbine with cracked panels, and checked the charge. "Then we won't let them." He lifted Lyra onto his small hover sled and started the engine. The ship roared weakly to life. Sand and dust blew into the air as he drove out into the storm. Behind them, the drones spotted the broken shelter and descended, firing beams that burned through metal and rock. Ethan didn't look back. "Hold on," he said through the wind. Lyra's hand gripped his arm weakly. Her voice was barely a whisper. "If we survive this, I'll tell you what the light really is." Ethan nodded, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The storm swallowed them both as red beams sliced through the dark sky. He didn't know where they were going. He didn't know why he cared. But deep inside, a strange feeling burned in his chest. The same faint glow he'd seen in her eyes. And for the first time in years, Ethan Cross felt something dangerous and alive. Hope. The hover sled sped through the darkness, cutting across the dry wasteland like a silver arrow. Ethan kept one hand on the controls and the other steadying Lyra, who lay behind him wrapped in his old jacket. Her breathing was shallow, her silver hair whipping in the wind. The storm raged around them and the red beams from the drones faded into the distance. For now they were safe. After hours of travel, Ethan finally stopped near an old mining cave. He guided the sled inside and switched off the engine. Silence filled the space, broken only by the crackle of his portable heater. Lyra opened her eyes slowly. "Are we safe?" she asked, her voice weak. "For now," Ethan said, setting down his rifle. "Those drones won't see us through the rock. You need to rest," but she shook her head. "Rest won't help me." "You don't know what's coming." Ethan frowned. "Then tell me, what's so dangerous about you that your own brothers tried to bury you alive?" For a long moment, Lyra said nothing. She stared into the faint glow of the heater. The light reflected in her silver eyes, and her face looked older than her 16 years, tired, burdened. "My world," she began quietly, "was once full of light. We had oceans of glass and cities that floated in the sky. My people called ourselves the Vexorans, and for thousands of years we ruled the stars. But then something changed. The light began to fade." Ethan listened, leaning forward. "There was an ancient energy," she continued, "that powered our ships, our minds, our hearts. The light of origin. When I was born, that light awakened inside me again, but it frightened everyone. My brothers especially." She lifted her hand, and faint white lines shimmered under her skin. "The light gave me the power to heal and to destroy. The elders said I was chosen to bring balance, but my brothers saw it differently. They said I was a threat, that no one should hold the light alone." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "So they tried to kill you." Lyra's voice trembled. "They didn't want blood on their hands, so they buried me alive. They called it mercy." The words hung in the air. Ethan felt a tightness in his chest. He'd seen cruelty before, seen soldiers turn on their own. But this was different. This was family. He took a deep breath. "Why not fight back? You've got power. You could have stopped them." Lyra looked down. "Because I loved them. And because I didn't understand how to use the light. It's not a weapon you can aim. It listens to your heart. And my heart was broken." The heater flickered, casting long shadows on the cave walls. Ethan rubbed his hands together, trying to think. "So now they're hunting you again." "To finish what they started," Lyra nodded. "They will never stop. The light cannot die so long as I breathe." Ethan gave a small, bitter laugh. "Great. Guess that makes me their next problem." She studied him quietly. "You risked everything for me, human." "Why?" He shrugged. "Maybe because I've lost everything already. Earth's gone, my crew's gone. I got nothing left but bad luck." Lyra tilted her head. "No," she said softly. "You have something. I can feel it." He raised an eyebrow. "Feel what?" "The light," she whispered. "It touched you when you opened my pod. It's inside you now." Ethan blinked. "That's impossible." Lyra reached out and placed her hand on his chest. A faint warmth spread through him, and for a brief moment his heartbeat glowed faintly beneath his shirt. A soft blue pulse. Ethan jerked back.
"What the hell was that?"
"The beginning," Lyra said. "You've been marked by the light. You're connected to me now." He stared at her, half in awe, half in fear. "So what does that mean?" "It means," she said slowly, "that you are no longer just human. And if my brothers find out, they will kill you too." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then let them come." Lyra looked at him, her silver eyes softening for the first time. "You don't understand, Ethan. They aren't just soldiers. They are gods among my people. Each of them controls part of the dark, the opposite of what I am." A faint tremor shook the cave. The air grew cold. Lyra's face went pale. "They found us," she whispered. Ethan grabbed his rifle and pulled her toward the sled. "We'll run again if we have to." Lyra shook her head. "No, this time they won't stop chasing. The only way to end this is to face them." "Face gods?" Ethan said, half smiling. "You really are insane." Lyra met his gaze. "Maybe. But you're the only human I've ever met who didn't run away." "That makes you different," Ethan didn't reply. The cave walls rumbled again, and a deep hum echoed outside. The hunters had arrived. Ethan glanced at her, the strange alien girl who should have been dead, and for the first time, he understood. This wasn't just her fight anymore. It was theirs. The ground trembled under Ethan's boots. The sound came first, and then a deep mechanical hum that grew louder with every heartbeat. Then, faint red lights appeared in the sky, cutting through the clouds like burning eyes. Lyra stood near the cave mouth, her silver hair glowing faintly. "They're here," she said quietly. Ethan loaded his plasma rifle. "How many?" She didn't answer right away. Her gaze was fixed on the horizon. Too many. Moments later, the first hunter ship descended, a black triangle of metal with glowing red veins running along its surface. The air crackled as lightning arced across its wings. Ethan cursed. "I thought you said they'd send drones." "That's a warship," Lyra stepped back, trembling. "It's my brother's craft. He never leaves survivors." Ethan didn't wait for more explanation. He grabbed her wrist. "We're leaving, now." They ran through the back tunnel of the cave, sand crunching beneath their boots. The hover sled waited near the exit, its engine half broken but still alive. Ethan jumped on and pulled Lyra behind him. The moment he started the engine, a bright red beam hit the entrance of the cave. A direct strike. The explosion threw sand and rock into the air. The sled shot forward just in time, racing across the open desert. Dust storm clouds twisted around them as alien fire rained down from the sky. "Hold on," Ethan shouted. Lyra clung to his back. Her voice was trembling. "They'll never stop. My brother can sense the light. He knows where I am." Ethan gritted his teeth. "Then let him chase us. I've got a few tricks left." He turned sharply, steering the sled between two massive rock pillars. Plasma bolts exploded behind them, shaking the ground. Pieces of molten stone flew past. A metallic voice echoed across the air, deep, cold, and angry. "Lyra of the light, you should have stayed buried." Lyra's face went pale. "That's him. My brother Cale." Ethan risked a glance upward. The warship hovered close now, and through the glowing red cockpit a tall figure stood. Dark armor, eyes burning like embers. Kyle's voice carried through the air again. "You shame our bloodline. The light is not yours to keep," Ethan shouted into the wind. "Hey! She's done nothing wrong." Cale didn't reply. Instead, the ship fired another beam. This one hit the ground right beside them. The sled flipped, throwing both Ethan and Lyra across the sand. Ethan rolled hard, coughing, his shoulder burning. He pushed himself up and saw Lyra lying a few feet away, dazed but alive. The warship landed nearby, dust swirling around its wings. The door opened and Cale stepped out, tall, armored in black, a silver blade at his side. His presence felt heavy, like gravity itself had thickened. Lyra struggled to her feet. "Please, brother, stop this." Cale's eyes glowed crimson. "You don't deserve to speak my name. You are a curse. The elders warned us. I never wanted this," Lyra cried. "The light chose me." Cale raised his hand. "Then it will die with you." A surge of dark energy crackled in his palm, aimed straight at her. Ethan moved before he could think. He jumped between them, firing his rifle. Blue plasma bolts hit Cale's armor, useless. The energy bounced off like sparks on steel. Cale tilted his head, studying the human. "You defend her? A creature of dirt and decay." Ethan reloaded fast. "Yeah, well, this creature's not afraid of you." Kyle's voice was calm but cruel. "You should be." He thrust his hand forward, and a shockwave of black light hit Ethan square in the chest. The world spun. Pain seared through his body. He crashed into the sand and couldn't breathe. Lyra screamed, running toward him. She knelt beside Ethan, her hands glowing white. "Stay with me!" Her light spread over his chest, and the pain faded. His breathing returned, shallow but real. Cale watched in silence, his expression unreadable. "Even now you waste your power on the weak." Lyra's voice broke. "Power means nothing if it cannot protect life." Cale stepped closer. "Then watch how life burns." Before he could strike again, Lyra raised her hands. A wall of brilliant light burst from the ground, forming a shield that blocked the next attack. The energy rippled across the sand, throwing Cale back. Ethan opened his eyes, dazed. "What was that?" Lyra's voice was weak. "I don't know. It came from you too." "What?" She looked at him with wide eyes. "When I healed you, the light inside you answered mine. We're linked now, Ethan. That's why we survived his attack." Kyle roared in fury and raised his sword again, but Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm. "We can't fight him." "Not yet." She focused her power, and the air around them shimmered. A blinding white glow surrounded both of them. Then, in an instant, they vanished. Cale's sword struck only empty air. The desert fell silent again, except for the echo of his rage. High above the plains, miles away, Lyra and Ethan reappeared in a burst of light. They collapsed together on a rocky ledge. Ethan was shaking, his mind racing. He looked at her. "You can teleport too?" Lyra smiled weakly. "Only once in a while." When the light listens, he sat back, breathing hard. "Well, remind me to thank it later." Lyra gazed at the stars above. We can't keep running forever. Kale will hunt us until one of us dies. Ethan looked at her, determination burning in his eyes. Then we don't run. We find a way to fight back. Lyra stared at him, surprised. You would fight a god? Ethan smirked. I fought worse. I fought humans. And for the first time, Lyra laughed. Soft, fragile, but real. Far away, Kyle's ship rose back into the storm. His cold voice echoed through the sky. Run while you can, sister. The next time I find you, there will be no mercy. The hunt had only begun. The night was quiet again. Too quiet. After escaping Kale's wrath, Ethan and Lyra found shelter inside the ruins of an old human research bunker, a place untouched for decades. Rusted doors hung loose. The walls were covered in dust and vines. The air smelled like metal and memory. Ethan lit a small fire in a cracked barrel, its flickering light dancing across the cold floor. Lyra sat nearby, her silver hair messy, her pale face drawn with exhaustion. Her glowing eyes had dimmed since the fight. Ethan handed her a small metal cup filled with recycled water. Drink, he said simply. She took it in both hands, sipping slowly. This world, she whispered. It feels like death lives in the air. Ethan gave a tired laugh. You get used to it. Vexora's been dying for years. Humans came here thinking we'd build a future, but all we built were graves. Lyra looked up at him. You speak like someone who's lost more than he's found. He met her gaze, his eyes shadowed by the firelight. Yeah, I lost my crew when the mines collapsed. The company left us to die. I was the only one who crawled out. Lyra's voice softened. You survived alone. He shrugged. That's what humans do. We survive, even when the universe forgets us. For a moment, silence filled the bunker. The fire popped. Wind whistled through the cracks. Then Lyra spoke again, almost in a whisper. On my world, we are taught that humans are dangerous, greedy, violent, full of chaos. Ethan smirked. They're not wrong. But you saved me, she said. You risked everything. Why? Ethan stared into the fire. Because no one ever saved me. Lyra said nothing, but her eyes softened. She reached out and touched his hand, gently, like she was afraid he might pull away. Instead, Ethan froze. Her skin was warm, but a faint current of energy pulsed beneath it like tiny lightning. He looked at her hand, then at her glowing veins. What's happening to you? Lyra frowned. The light inside me. It's reacting to you again. It shouldn't. Maybe it's broken, he said, trying to joke. But Lyra didn't smile. No, it's not broken. It's choosing. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Choosing what? Choosing you, she said. You carry something the light recognizes. Maybe it's your soul. Maybe it's your pain. Ethan looked confused. You think your magic likes my bad attitude? This time, Lyra did laugh. A soft sound that filled the empty bunker with a strange kind of peace. But the peace didn't last long. The ground trembled slightly, a deep hum echoing from far below. Ethan stood and grabbed his rifle. That sound again. They're still looking for us. Lyra closed her eyes, focusing. No. This is different. It's not my brothers. It's something older, something buried here. Ethan frowned. Older than your kind? She nodded. Before my people came, this planet belonged to others. The Makers. They used the light long before us. I can feel their echoes beneath the ground. Ethan sighed. Great. So now we're sitting on ancient alien ghosts. Lyra smiled faintly. Maybe they can help us. She stood and walked toward a cracked metal door half buried in sand. When she touched it, faint lines of light spread from her fingers across the surface, forming symbols Ethan had never seen. The door hissed open. Inside was a circular chamber filled with strange machines and glowing stones. It looked untouched, frozen in time. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes wide. This is A nexus of the light. The makers left it behind. Ethan scanned the room. Looks like a graveyard of light bulbs to me. Lyra ignored him. She reached out and touched one of the stones. It glowed brighter, filling the chamber with soft white light. Ethan shielded his eyes. A holographic figure appeared, tall, cloaked, made of light itself. Its voice was soft but powerful. Bearer of the light, your time has come again. Lyra fell to her knees. Who are you? We are what remains of the makers. The light within you is the key to rebirth. And the one beside you, the human, carries the spark that will awaken it. Ethan blinked. Wait, me? What are you talking about? Two hearts, one light. Together you can restore balance nor destroy what's left of this world. The hologram flickered, then vanished. Ethan stared at the spot where it had been. Restore or destroy, that's not much of a choice. Lyra turned to him. Now you see why they fear me. If my power joins with yours, we could create life. Or end it all. Ethan rubbed his temples. Great, so we're cosmic bombs now. Lyra smiled sadly. Not bombs. Hope. If we can learn to control it. He looked at her, at the strange glow in her eyes, at the calm strength in her face. Then we learn, he said, because running isn't working anymore. Lyra nodded slowly. Then we'll train here. The Maker's light will guide us. Outside, the wind howled through the ruins. Deep underground, the ancient power stirred again, awake for the first time in centuries. Neither of them knew it yet, but the bond between human and alien had already begun to change the fate of the stars. Days passed inside the old bunker. Ethan and Lyra trained every morning beneath the broken ceiling where sunlight filtered through cracks like golden dust. The light responded more each day, glowing brighter when they stood together, dimming when they were apart. At first, Ethan struggled. When Lyra tried to teach him how to channel it, he laughed and said, I'm a mechanic, not a space wizard. But soon, strange things started to happen. When he focused, small objects floated. His wounds healed faster. He could feel energy move inside him like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Lyra watched with quiet pride. You're learning faster than I did, she said one night as they sat by the fire. Ethan smiled faintly. Guess humans aren't so useless after all. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. No, she said softly. You're not useless, you're rare. He chuckled, rubbing his scarred hands. Tell that to the rest of the galaxy. But their peace was fragile, and far away, Kale's fleet moved closer each day. That night, as Lyra rested, Ethan left the bunker to search for supplies. The air outside was thin and cold, and the stars burned bright above the ruins. He walked toward the old trading post on the edge of the wasteland, a place where smugglers sometimes gathered. Inside the ruined outpost, a man waited. His name was Joran, a smuggler Ethan had known years ago. He was tall, thin, with eyes that always looked like they were hiding something. Ethan Cross, Joran said with a grin. Didn't think I'd see you alive. Ethan dropped a bag of metal scraps on the table. Need fuel cells, food rations, and a new oxygen filter. Joran whistled. That's a lot for a man who's supposed to be broke. What's the catch? No catch, Ethan said. Just help me out. Joran leaned forward, lowering his voice. Rumors are flying, my friend. Alien patrols searching the desert. A girl with glowing eyes. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? Ethan's jaw tightened. No. Come on, Joran pressed. You think I can't tell when you're lying? You always blink twice. Ethan glared. Drop it. But Joran didn't. He smirked. You could make a fortune, Ethan. The bounty on that alien girl's head is more than you'll ever see in a lifetime. The Vexaran princes want her alive. Or dead. Doesn't matter to them. Ethan's blood ran cold. You stay away from her. Joran laughed. I don't need to. They already know where she is. Before Ethan could react, he heard it, a faint hum above them. Red lights flashed through the windows. Drones. Damn it, Ethan cursed, pulling his gun. What did you do? Joran shrugged. Sold information. It's just business, old friend. Ethan fired a warning shot, but Joran had already vanished into the shadows. Outside, the night exploded in fire and light. Alien searchlights swept across the dunes. Ethan ran toward the bunker, heart pounding, sand kicking up beneath his boots. When he reached the entrance, the entire sky was glowing red. The drones had already found it. "Lyra!" he shouted, diving inside. She stood in the center of the room, surrounded by flames and smoke. Her eyes blazed like twin stars, her body glowing with fierce white light. The air crackled with power. "They've come," she whispered. "You led them here." Ethan froze. "No, Lyra, I swear," but she didn't hear him. Rage filled her voice. "I trusted you. Listen to me," he shouted. "It wasn't me. It was—" The walls shook as an explosion ripped through the corridor. The roof began to crumble. Ethan grabbed her arm, pulling her away from the fire. "Come on, we can still get out." She turned, tears in her glowing eyes. Why do humans always betray what they don't understand? Ethan flinched at her words. Because sometimes we don't get the chance to explain. Another blast tore through the bunker. The ceiling cracked open, and a massive shadow descended from above. Kale's warship. Ethan pushed Lyra through a side passage. "Go!" She hesitated, staring at him. For the first time, she looked afraid. "You'll die." "Maybe," he said. "But I'm not letting them take you." He ran back toward the main chamber, firing at the drones. The light of his rifle mixed with Lyra's white glow as she disappeared into the dark tunnels below. Kale's voice echoed through the bunker. "Your bond means nothing, human. The light will die with her." Ethan's reply was drowned out by the sound of another explosion. Deep below, Lyra stumbled through the tunnels, her heart breaking. She could still feel Ethan, his heartbeat, his pain, through their connection. Then suddenly it stopped. She fell to her knees, the light around her fading. "Ethan?" she whispered. "Ethan, answer me." Silence, her hands trembled, the glow dying out. For the first time since she awoke, she felt completely alone again. Above, Kale's warship hovered over the ruins. Smoke rose from the desert. In the fading light, Kale watched the flames and smiled coldly. One down, one to go. But far away, buried beneath rubble and dust, a faint blue glow pulsed. Steady, defiant. Ethan Cross was not dead. Not yet, the desert burned. The night sky glowed red from the fires of Kale's warship. Sandstorms twisted like ghosts around the ruins of the bunker. The ground was cracked, blackened, silent, except for one sound, a heartbeat. Beneath the rubble, under broken stone and shattered metal, Ethan Cross opened his eyes. His body hurt everywhere, his chest burned with strange blue light, pulsing through his veins like liquid fire. The light was alive inside him now. He gasped, coughing dust. The bunker was gone, destroyed. Above, he could see the faint shadow of Kale's ship. His ears rang, but one voice echoed in his head. Soft, trembling, scared. "Ethan, can you hear me?" "Lyra." He could feel her fear, her pain, her loneliness, through the strange link they shared. She was alive, but weak, captured. Ethan clenched his fists. "Hold on, Lyra, I'm coming." He pushed himself up, stumbling through the smoke. The blue glow from his chest brightened, forming faint streaks of light along his arms. His old wounds had vanished. His eyes shimmered faintly, reflecting the power inside him. Something had changed. He wasn't just human anymore. He moved faster than he ever had before, sprinting across the burning sand toward the ship. He didn't need weapons now. The energy in his body hummed like thunder waiting to be released. Inside the warship, Lyra hung suspended inside a glowing cage of red energy. Her wrists bled silver light, her strength fading fast. Kale stood before her, his dark armor gleaming. "You should never have come back," he said coldly. Lyra looked up weakly. "You call this justice?" Kale's eyes flared crimson. "This is mercy. The light belongs to the dark now," he raised his hand. Shadows coiled around his arm like living smoke. The cage began to tighten, crushing the air around her. Lyra cried out in pain, and the sound carried through the night straight to Ethan. Something inside him snapped. The blue glow around his body flared bright, spreading out in waves of energy. His feet left the ground. He launched himself into the air, straight toward the warship. The force of his landing shook the ship's hull. Metal bent under his boots as he tore open the entrance hatch with his bare hands. Guards rushed at him, armored and armed. He moved faster than bullets, energy bursting from his palms in white-blue flashes. Every blast sent shockwaves through the corridors. The ship trembled. Lights flickered. Cale turned as the door behind him exploded open. Ethan stepped through the smoke, eyes glowing, chest burning with living fire. "Get away from her," Cale smirked. "So the human lives." Ethan clenched his fists. "Not for long, if you don't let her go." Kyle drew his blade, a weapon made of pure red energy. "You dare challenge me, mortal?" Ethan's voice was steady. "I'm not just mortal anymore." They clashed, light against darkness. Every strike sent ripples of energy through the air. Cale's sword burned with crimson fury, while Ethan's hands glowed with blue fire. Sparks flew. The ground cracked. Lyra watched in awe and terror. She could feel the light reacting, two forces colliding, trying to merge or destroy each other. Cale slashed across Ethan's chest, but the wound closed instantly. Ethan struck back, his fist glowing like a star, slamming into Cale's armor. The impact shattered metal and sent him flying across the chamber. Kyle roared, rising again. "You think you can win?" "You are nothing but her shadow." Ethan's eyes blazed brighter. "Then it's her shadow that ends you." He raised both hands and blue energy erupted like lightning. It struck Cale, tearing through his armor, consuming the dark flames that surrounded him. The air filled with light so bright it silenced the world. When it faded, Cale lay motionless on the floor, his armor cracked, his red eyes dim. Ethan stumbled forward, breathing hard. The glow around him flickered. "It's over," he whispered. Lyra's cage vanished and she fell to her knees. Ethan rushed to catch her. She was weak, trembling. "You came back," she said softly. He smiled faintly. "You didn't think I'd let you do all the glowing alone, did you?" She laughed weakly through her tears. But then she looked at his chest. The light inside him was fading fast. The light. "It's burning you," she said, panicking. Ethan shook his head. "Doesn't matter. You're safe." Lyra's hands glowed as she tried to heal him, but the energy slipped away like water. "No," she whispered. "You can't die. We're linked. If you fade, so will I." Ethan touched her cheek gently. "Then take it. Take the rest of it." Before she could stop him, he pressed his glowing hand against her heart. The blue light poured out of him, flooding into her. She screamed as her body filled with light, brighter than before. When the glow faded, Ethan collapsed. His chest no longer glowed. His eyes closed. Lyra held him close, tears streaming down her face. "Ethan." The ship began to fall apart around them. Alarms blared. Fire raged. But Lyra didn't move. She looked at his still face, and then something incredible happened. Her own light ignited again, stronger than ever. Blue and silver light burst from her body, surrounding them both. The ship exploded, but the energy formed a massive sphere of light that rose into the sky, shining like a new star. When the light faded, the desert was silent again. Cale's warship was gone, nothing left but sand and wind. On the ground, Lyra stood alone, the wind in her hair. The light now pulsed calmly inside her, stronger, purer. In her hand she held Ethan's old necklace, glowing faintly. She looked up at the stars, her voice soft but full of strength. "I'll find you again, human, even across the stars." And as she walked into the glowing horizon, a faint echo answered her from far beyond the sky. A heartbeat.